Welcome to the Hiding in Plain Sight podcast, where we explore the transformative power of inclusivity and the strength found in vulnerability. I'm your host, Lindsey Mazza, and with each episode, together we will go on a journey of reconnecting with all parts of ourselves to foster healing and inspire a more inclusive and compassionate world for all. So grab your headphones and settle in for soul-fulfilling discussions that will make you laugh, provoke thought, and be the catalyst for growth. Let's dive in. Hi, everyone. Eric's back on the Hiding in Plain Sight podcast, and we're really excited to introduce this new sort of journey that we're on. We really want to speak to the men out there and help them to find their way onto the best healing journey for them. So we're happy to introduce 1%, the empowered man, and we're going to have multiple conversations. So welcome back, Eric.
Yes. 1% of the empowered man. We love to be empowered when we're inspired and we're in that heart space and we have that coherence and we have that divine union, the masculine and feminine in one. And that's how we become empowered. So thank you for having me, and I'm looking forward to these next few weeks as we get to talk and chat about the 1% of empowered man and what that looks like.
Yeah, and just as a quick intro, so Eric and I sort of happened upon this common passion together. Well, the first time we chatted about how I had expressed that in all of the work that I've done in my life and all of the friends that I've had, that there's such a gap in the market for a safe container for men, right, to heal. It really targets women, and so we've decided that we're just gonna help create that, so we can call in all the men.
We're going first.
That's
first.
Right.
You know, a lot of people like to call out things, what we call it, and we're calling men to be in their heart. We're calling men to be grounded in their souls, and just so they can have true evolution. And a lot of times as men, there's a lot of expectations, but there's very few appreciation. At least that's what men feel. Not that it's not people not appreciative of us, but some men who are not in their heart space don't feel appreciated.
Right. And I think that, so like we thought we would start with talking about heart coherence and the importance of creating heart coherence and teaching men how to reconnect with that heart space.
Yeah, you talked about heart math. You know, can you, to people listening and that's going to watch, can you kind of give them some synopsis on what heart math is? Because that's how we got to this conclusion that this is going to be today's topic.
Yeah, so heart math, I was actually introduced to heart math formally a few months ago at a conference through one of the speakers. What I realized is this formal scientific backed term, but it's something that I had always been doing as a form of my standard meditation. But what's really appealing about the scientific backing of it is that it really, I think some people need that. I think that sometimes meditation feels too non-tangible and woo-woo for people. So heart math was actually created, without getting into too much detail because I don't want to botch it, but essentially it was created out of necessity when open heart surgery sort of came to the medical field, and surgeons were having successful surgeries, but patients were dying after surgery due to complications. And they came up with that. What they realized is when they taught patients to reconnect with their heart, physically think of their heart and do specific exercises, it increased their survival rate because it connected their mind to their heart. So that, it's really, really fascinating.
Hold on, run it back again?
Yeah.
Hold on, say that again?
So it's the actual exercise of dropping into your heart space by thinking of your beating heart. Thinking of what that looks like, listening to the beat of the heart with your eyes closed, intentional breaths. And what it does is it immediately slows and resets your nervous system.
Wow.
Yeah. Like, so people who are, have never meditated before, who've said to me, I can't meditate, when they do this exercise and I do that guided meditation with them from the place of this heart math, like I've never had a person say to me, I didn't feel the benefit of that.
Mm. Yeah,
Yeah.
I think because listen, people, I'm telling you, going into this year of 2025 and beyond, a lot of men's programs are going to be set up. There's going to be a lot of funding behind it, calling it out now. And I think Lindsey and I we're on the front end of it because we're going first. But the way you just simplified, like drop it into your heart space, I think that's what the world wants and that's what the world needs because we're so in our minds, we're so in our egos, we're not enough in our body to feel what's happening, or we're afraid to drop into our heart because we're afraid to feel. I had a buddy of mine 3 weeks ago ask me, like, what's my thoughts on AI? And I said, I think AI is great. It enhances a lot of things. It helps. But what AI can't do is it can't teach me how to feel and it can't experience life for me. Right.
Right.
And the reason AI is taking over is because as humans, we are numb, right? Because of social media, the digital space, the virtual space, there's no real connectivity. So what Lindsey and I are doing here is holding space in a way to help men be able to connect within themselves through their hearts and not their minds. And I think this is why heart math is so important. I think you even might be having some potential meditations that people can buy and learn from your space. And it's important because I think as a man, when I was on my journey in Peru last year, before I went there, like I was heartbroken from a relationship and a lot of betrayal I dealt with. But after I did the medicine, it cleared my heart. Like I could feel like my heart open up. Like I felt like my heart was closed and it opened me up. And I think men want to open up their hearts. We just don't feel safe, right? We don't feel safe in our heart. We don't feel safe in our body. We feel afraid to express our true emotions. And it's not that you can't be emotional as a man. We just don't know how to be in a safe place. Because when you do say what you're saying, people don't receive it well because of the stereotype. I had a client tell me recently that he had just got an achievement and he was sharing with his mom and she's telling me too emotional because he was emotional about it. She's like, you're too emotional. So imagine the greatest thing in your life happens and you tell your mom and she says you're too emotional. That hurts. So guess what's going to happen next time? I'm not going to share it.
Right. And at the end of the day, it's, you revert to that like little boy, right? That's just looking for that, sense of that security. And it's, and the problem, so the heart, number one, heart math is critical, but number two, even from a energy healing perspective in Reiki, the heart space is blocked for most people, men and women.
Wow.
And that's where our energy gets trapped because, this is what I think, is most people are walking around not feeling safe in their bodies and they're looking for external things or people to make them feel safe.
Yeah.
And we disconnect from our heart space because it's too hard to feel that much.
Yeah.
Right. And that's where this becomes such a pivotal point in the healing journey, because when we're able to feel safe in our own bodies, and that I believe that starts in your heart space.
And if you just go from like a economic standpoint, look at Amazon, right? And look at that new documentary that just came out not too long ago. I think it's called Buy It Now. And it's about like Amazon and online companies and how us as people, we overconsume because we don't feel. So we're constantly buying things to take up space for what we need to feel. So we're filling a void with material goods and being consumers and not producers, right? But if we sit in our heart space long enough, men and women, we'll realize we don't need as much. But it's only the ego, the mind, that tells us that we need these things to neglect what we need to feel. But that is the feeling, the thing. And so then we just keep, so all we do is we get more material goods, more material satisfaction, external validation, and we just put the heart beneath it all. So now we never really feel until it's even all taken away from us or we have to surrender to it. So
Right.
I think the heart space is so, especially for a man in these times, because no one cares about how much money you have or what car you drive or who you know and who knows you. Like, that's cool, but you can't sustain that long time. No one cares. Like, the truth is, who are you? And I think the only way we get to the root of who we are, we got to get into our hearts. Because a lot of us, including me, we're just the little boy who wanted some love from his mom or his dad growing up. And so all his success was privy to that, right? Because I'm going to be successful because I'm lacking love from my parents. So my success is going to get it. And then
Right.
realize the attention you get from your success is false. It's not real. It's just a moment in time. It's like that commercial that comes, a Super Bowl commercial. I'm pretty sure no one remembers the commercial from 2 years ago on the Super Bowl. No, it's over with.
Right. Right.
It's temporary success for temporary fulfillment because we're blocked in our hearts.
Yeah. And I think that what people, I mean, it's certainly something that I observed because I was a family law lawyer for 11 years. So I was dealing with people at the end of their relationships, right? And
Oh, wow.
I had a lot of men as clients, and the consistent observation, and I think this is important for men to hear because they are, well, men are wired to be the individual in a relationship to acquire the material goods, right? To bring in the
Yeah.
money, to be the doer. That is the masculine energy. But your success in money, business, relationships is directly linked to your heart center,
Yeah.
right? So the men who were going through divorces and were clients of mine were like everything in their life was falling apart,
Yeah.
right? It becomes financial scarcity. They're brokenhearted. They've left this relationship with someone that they love and they don't feel worthy. And then a lot of them immediately jump into another relationship, like you said, looking to fill that void. And they're on this runaway train and they probably have the least amount of money they've ever had after a divorce. They're now
Yeah.
in a second toxic relationship and they're sitting there with this lack of worthiness and even further disconnected from themselves. So, right, they're chasing the wrong thing.
And that's be chasing wrong things because they're not in their heart. And I want to add
Right.
something because what dropped in when you were speaking was their statistics stated that after a woman helps a man get to, like, just say, for instance, a young woman meets a young guy at the age of 19, and at the age of 29, he goes on to be this amazing person, success, and he winds up leaving, right, for another
Mm,
woman. She helps him get to the next level, and the reason why he would leave is because he's not in his heart space, right?
right.
Because when you're in your heart space, you have to really think about who's really in your life and who really makes
Mm-hmm.
you feel love and at home. But when you're in your ego space, your mind space, and you make more money, oh, you're going to jump off the cliff like, oh, I want to go over here because you're not anchored in your body or in your heart to know this woman was by your side for 10 years or however
Mm-hmm.
long, and you had this, but you don't appreciate and value her the same because you wasn't, you're not in your heart space. Because
Right.
if men are more in our heart space, we'll feel before we do. But a lot of times we just do and then think.
Well, and then
So
you
that
have to, and then you got to acquire a new energy source, right? Because it's not sustainable energy when you're operating
yeah.
from the ego.
And
And
then being in a hard space helps you to be more vulnerable as a man. We're saying, listen, like,
right.
I'm upset or I'm hurting or whatever it is. I just think
Mm-hmm.
being in a hard space for men is about being safe in our body and having safety in our nervous system when we are or we have the opportunity to express our feelings or emotions. And I think
Mm-hmm.
what we're doing here is opening up a discussion for men all over the world, all demographics, all ages, to see where are you at right now in your life, financially, physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, and how much of where you're at has to do with your heart.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe none
Yeah.
or maybe some, but these are things to think about because I know as a man, I can fake it till I make it all day and act like I'm good, but I know when these doors close, if I'm people pleasing and I'm over giving, I'm oversharing, I just really want some love and I want a hug. That's it.
Yeah. Yeah.
I want
And
someone to edify me and make me feel like I want to feel appreciated. I want to feel valued as a man. That's it.
right. But you won't actually be able to receive that until you believe that for yourself.
Right. See what I'm saying?
Right. Yeah. So you can get it all day long from other people, but you're never going to receive it and feel it if you're feeling unsafe and unworthy of that. And reconnecting with your heart space allows you to discover those emotions that have been holding you back so that you can, because this isn't a quick fix, right? Like, I think that that's also
Yeah. Right.
important. Is
Right. Yeah.
this is like step one. Step one, drop
Yeah.
into your heart space, feel all those
Yeah.
feelings. It's not going to be easy.
And it's gonna
Um,
be uncomfortable. It's
yes,
uncomfortable because we
it is
also keep
uncomfortable.
ourselves busy as men. That's what I did for years, 30
Yeah.
plus years. I just was like, go, 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 work, 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 be, achieve, 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 achieve. It's a boom. I hit a wall, and I'm like, oh yeah, yeah, brother. My soul was like, you. It's time to feel. You've been running from these feelings, and you can't go
Mm-hmm.
further because
Right.
your real feelings is gonna pull you down the higher you climb, and then it might let you just go, 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 go until you get to the top, and then it's like you have even a panic attack, you have a dark night of the soul, which I had, or you just depressed and you don't know why, because you never felt life in your body, you only felt it in your mind.
Right. And it's only going to
So
allow you to achieve success that's consistent with your own belief system around your worth, right? So you're going to keep hitting
yeah,
those same ceilings until you're prepared to go deeper with yourself.
and let's talk about that, Lindsey. Like, as a woman, how does it feel, or what is it like, or what would you value and appreciate when a man is connected to his heart and you can connect with him on an intimate level or just a deep level? How does that benefit the female species or women in general? How does that benefit them?
Yeah, so it's funny because I was talking to a friend about this earlier. Um, I think that one of the reasons so many relationships fail now is because men are naturally supposed to live in their masculine energy, right? Of the being
Yeah,
the doer. But so many women are also residing in their masculine energy.
yeah,
So then you have two people with a dominant masculine energy doing and acquiring. There's a total lack of an ability to effectively communicate between men and women,
yeah,
and a lack of understanding. So I think when, as a man, if you're able to do that work and recognize the feelings that come up when you're able to return to heart coherence, you're
yeah.
going to be able to better understand your female partner,
Hey,
right?
there we go.
Because you're going to
Yeah,
have compassion for yourself, and then you will live from a place of more compassion for your partner.
yeah. And you will teach her unconscious how to drop back into her feminine and not be so much in her masculine.
Right. And then realize that, for most women, I mean, maybe for a lot of women, but it matters, but it's not really about necessarily how much money you make or what you're bringing home. It's about taking care of her from a place of like, I'm going to think about your feelings and how
There
this is
we
going to
go.
make your life easier, right? And I think
Yeah,
most women are just looking for a man to be like, you know what, I'm going to make you a coffee this morning. I'll take out the garbage. It's such
yeah.
small, simple things, but there's a total misstep because I think society has trained men to be like, we need to do these big things. And then when a woman doesn't appreciate those things, that's when men are like, okay, well, where do I go from here?
Yeah, and the women not appreciating it because you're not intimately involved in her energy. You're
Right.
just there for the taking of. It's kind of like someone who gets in a car. She gets in your car, and you're like, where you want to go? She's like, I want to eat. So you just take her to the restaurant, but she doesn't know the
Mm,
name. She doesn't know the location. She doesn't know the type of food. But you're like, well, I'm doing my job. Like she said, she want to eat, so I'm taking her to a restaurant. She's like, but what type of restaurant? What food is there? What's
yes.
the crowd like?
Yes.
What is the detail of the restaurant? You're not making her feel safe about where you're taking her. So of course she's
Mm-hmm.
going to take a different route or not be all the way in the conversation in the car because you're not giving her details. You're giving her generalization. Like, we're just going to go to eat. Just trust me. We're going to go to a restaurant. It's like, okay, what if she doesn't want to eat that?
Mm-hmm.
And the reason
Right.
we can't think for our women the way we want to is because we're not tapped into their energy intimately.
Right.
When you can really understand a woman at her level, where she's at in the detail, and you have clarity on that, then you're not going to go take her to Bossa Nova or the Johns. You know, maybe you
Mhm.
take her to Boa Mastros, right?
Right.
But what I'm
Right.
saying is that you'll have a more clear picture on where she's at in her body and in her safety, what makes her feel safe. So, and it's all energy, right? It's all energetics. It's not even about
Totally.
women can't be masculine and men can't be feminine. It's all about understanding all. As a man, I feel like it's your duty to understand both parts of yourself. Because when you
Totally.
understand both parts of yourself, you can hold more space for your woman when she's in her part. Because women that's in their masculine, they just want more in life. So to get more, you have to have more output. But I also was reading that it's a pastor named Dr. Miles Monroe. He was like, I challenge anyone, any woman, no woman wants to work. if women didn't have to work, they wouldn't work. And someone like, no, what do you mean? I want to work. Like, yeah, you want to work. But if life was set up where you could do only the things that benefited your spirit and your soul, and you never had to worry about working because all your needs are met, you probably wouldn't work. You probably wouldn't get online and sell a program, or you're probably just like, oh, I'm just going to create this nice little, I'm going to decorate my living room. I'm going to call some friends and put an event together. But it's true. I mean, I just think like, yeah, women can work. I'm not saying don't work, but you're going to only do the work that edifies your spirit and not your ego. Right.
Yeah. And I think it's so I mean, I think women would do the
Like,
work that they
like if
enjoy.
you had it, right. So Lindsay,
Hmm.
let's this case study right now. So if you would have life your way, right? And you didn't
Hmm.
have to think about running a business, doing a business, you just had life your way. What would the ideal life be for you? If you never had to worry about money, you've never had to like, what would you do every day? Like with no resistance in your body.
Um, I would probably be doing more of these kinds of things, like just being able to just sit in like the creative energy. I mean, that's what I'm creating for myself now, but
Yeah.
without any anxiety. Like, I think women at the end of the day, they just want to feel held and like they have somebody to fall back on.
Ah, see, now we talking. See,
Right.
guys, listen in. I'm the guinea pig.
Right. And probably that would make everyone more successful, right? Because then
Yeah.
a woman's in her feminine energy, while the man's her backbone, and then the men are going to be more successful from a business perspective because they're going to be receiving that feminine energy from their female partner, which is what they're craving. But everybody's missing each other because we're all trying to wear the hat of like doing and surviving.
Yeah. And then let's play devil's advocate. Let's switch the script, right? So now
Yeah.
that's great. That's a great. So now I'm thinking about the men who are more in their feminine, and women that's more in their masculine, where the woman makes all the money or whatever. She's just more her masculine. It's not about money, right? Let's just say energetics. He's more in his beta, and he's more in his feminine, which is fine. And what happens is it feels like it works because it does. I mean, there's people out there now that's doing it, been doing it for years. And what happens at a point, some men are becoming emasculated. Some men are just used to women taking care of them and spoil them. And there's okay because they're benefited, right? But usually in those situations, can't say usually, what I've known in those situations over time, if that man doesn't feel appreciated for the things he is doing to make me drop him in his feminine, he's going to go and cheat because the only way he can feel like a man or be man enough, he has to go sleep with someone else because he
Right.
doesn't have his power, right? He's not in his masculinity. So you see that where I know people who've been together for years and then a switch happens where the guy just changes all of something. It's like, oh my God, like you're cheating now? What? You never
Right.
cheat on me. I'm the love of your life. So there's a say, and then there's the other one with the men and taking care of the women where you belittle her and you take care of her bills and stuff like that eventually, but you're not edifying her and giving her emotional and heart coherence from yourself, then she cheats.
Hmm. Right.
It goes both ways. So, like I said before, it's an energetic thing. And it's not to give shots at anyone or say anyone's doing anything wrong. I think whatever your relationship is, your relationship. But I'm always trying to get the full scope of things and saying, okay, how can we make this better for all people? And how can I, as a man, step into a container and give my authenticity from my point of view to give a bird eye view of say, look at it like this and see how this can help you and how this can help us and how this can help we. Because at the end of the day, I just think we both want to be integrated, men and women. I mean, I coach a
Totally.
lot of successful women that's in their masculine, that's independent. At the end of the day, they want love. So what are we talking about? Like, make all your money. But at
Yeah.
the end of the day, you want love.
Yeah.
Men want love too. But I also know as a man, if you don't have a mission, you don't have work, you don't really have a woman, or you can't really give to a woman if you don't have your mission. Because then you lose your mission if you don't have a woman. You know what I mean?
Right. And you can't communicate what you want if you're totally disconnected from yourself because you don't even know what you want.
There you go.
Right.
There you go.
So,
Yeah.
and I think that men have, like, society has trained men to not show their sensitive side, or it's a perceived weakness, and they typically don't sit around with their friends. Like, women, for the most part,
Yeah.
and in my life's experience, women have one or two really good girlfriends where they can be really vulnerable with them, whereas that's not typical with men, right? So they're totally, it's you and you, so you should get to know you. And then you're going to call in more emotional support, from an external perspective as well.
Yeah, you're not gonna have no suppressed anger about where you're at and where you're going once you're in your
Right.
heart space. Because I think once we get in our heart space as men, we're so angry in our emotions because we never said it. So whether it was with our woman or with our friends, we're angry. And this is the bad part about not being in your heart space as a man. What we do is to fill those gaps. We drink, we eat unhealthy, or we attract toxic friends or toxic people into our life
Yeah.
because we're not in that space. So it's this my whole thing, my intentionality for all of this, for you, Lindsey, for me, for anybody that's gonna listen. I'm all about healthy partnerships and healthy relationships and
Hmm.
healthy relationship of self. So in order to
Yes.
have a healthy relationship with someone else, you got to have a healthy relationship with yourself. And that's what I'm big on. How do we, as men, as a woman, how do you create a safe space within yourself where you're healthy with yourself and you're allowing yourself to be seen in a way you're not hiding to have someone else share their truth and y'all have a aligned partnership or friendship?
Right. And I, like, just from a, like, a tools and like an actionable perspective, I think the reality is for everyone, but we need to talk about it more, is you're taking out your frustrations on your partner that are triggered from like, it's an inner child issue. It's right.
Yeah.
It's the validation you didn't receive as a child from mom or dad or both. And it's about doing that shadow work and doing that inner child work. And again, it all starts with the heart coherence and taking note of what comes up and then working with that part of yourself. Yeah. So Eric, do you want to give some tips on how you started getting into your heart space and
Yeah, I
what it
think
looked like?
I think the number one thing that I can contribute to getting in my heart space is slowing things down in my mind first, and then
Mm,
tapping and dropping into my body. And the way most people say meditation, but honestly, I was meditating for years and I still was in my mind.
I know. I
Right.
know. Yep.
But breath work, like
Yes.
breath work will really drop you into your body and get you out of your mind. And it's a gateway to feeling in your heart and just in your body, right? Whether it's
Hmm.
fear, anxiety, anger, frustration, sadness. So I would start with breath work. To any guy who wants to kind of move into his heart center, start with breath work. 5 minutes, 10 minutes, do it every day. Also movement. Movement is medicine. Start moving the energy around in your body. And then maybe after breath work in a workout session, either one, you should just journal what you're feeling. Like that's what I would do. How do you feel about life?
Yeah.
How do you feel about yourself? How do you feel about your spouse? Or how do you feel about your job? Right. I would just start there. And then from there, you'll open up that portal to kind of like let locks and layers off your heart to kind of just open up to what you're feeling and not be afraid of what you're feeling. It might take longer for most men because we're not used to being in our heart space, or it might be quick with the working out and the breath work because it's forcing you to get out of your mind. So I would do that. Meditation too. You can throw meditation in there, but I know for sure breath work gets me out of my mind and gets me in my body. And then moving my body actually helps me feel better about myself to really have a real conscious understanding of what I'm feeling once I'm asking a question. Because I wake up some mornings feeling heavy, like, damn, why do I feel so heavy? And then after I work out, I'll be like, oh, maybe that was just, fear or something. Because working out actually opens yourself up to your energy of what's going on. So breath work, workout, meditate, journal. Do it at your own pace. Find what works best for you and trust it. And just practice it and do it over time. And over time, you'll find which one works best.
Yeah. And I think just to add to that, because you said it without saying it, is being curious with yourself about what comes up, right? It's just, what is this? What does this feeling mean for me? Why is this coming up? What happened to lead up to this? Because you're likely not going to know the answer right away. And you can't, and you don't want to run from that feeling because it's a clue as to what you need to deal with. So curiosity is key. Yeah.
Yes, curiosity is key, and getting in that heart space as the 1% of the empowered man is so important. People, women and men, like, we all here to help each other. The reason I want to be a part of this series with Lindsey is because I want men to be better for women. And because of my track record of helping so many women and understanding what they're lacking or missing from the men in their lives, or just in general, I want to be able to take accountability for within myself to say, look, I want to step up and say, these are some things we can think about as a man to be more empowered in that space.
Totally. Yeah.
We are.
So we're, I'm going to invite people to DM us, message us, men.
Yeah, DM us on Instagram. Totally. Lindsey has a bunch of like healing meditations, heart math meditations, and things of that nature.
Yeah.
And just follow us and get to know us, because I'm a type of person, I don't want you to buy into something because it sounds good. I want it to feel good. I want it to sound good. I want it to look good. I want it to be good for you. And I want it to be in alignment of your soul's assignment and build rapport. Like, I want people to build real rapport with us and give us some honest feedback and give us feedback. What y'all think of this episode? What do you think about heart? What do you think about heart coherence? What do you think about men and their feelings and their emotion? Do you think it's weak? Do you think it's brilliant? Do you think it's brave? Give us honest feedbacks, because we want to grow and learn as much as we're teach and give advice. So
and we want to be able to answer questions too. Like, I would invite people, if you have something specific that you're looking for some guidance on, I'd love to be able to incorporate that as well. Yeah. All right. Well, I feel like this is a great place to stop until next time when we do part 2 of 1%, the empowered man. Thanks, Eric.
So it is. Thank you, Lindsey. This is great.
Thank you for joining me on the Hiding in Plain Sight podcast. I hope you enjoyed today's episode. And please take a moment to subscribe and leave a review. Feedback and episode ideas helps us reach more listeners. I would love to connect with you further. You can visit my website at lindseymazza.com and add me on Instagram at LindseyDMazza. Until next time, keep sharing your stories and vulnerabilities, because one story at a time connects us all.